and welcome back to Jeffy and Chihuahua. My name's Jeffy and this is my best friend, Android the Chihuahua. Today we're going to be working on a soap project and I'm really excited about this because we're going to be putting tattoos in the middle of our soap bars. So we're going to get some really cool pictures on these. If you're new to soap making, there are a lot of great places to get new ideas, and one of those great places is Facebook groups. So I joined a couple of those groups and I've been getting some really good ideas, and I saw this specific project being made by another person and I fell in love with it. She did a wonderful job. She did a sea theme and her tattoos were very sparkly, so they looked beautiful in her soap bars. So really quick, I just want to give a shout out to birnley. She did an amazing job on her soap bars and she's the person I got this idea from. And she gave me some really good tips and tricks to make sure that our bars turn out as good as hers did. Her shop is called Burnley's Bath Bombs and Beyond, and I will leave a link in the description for that. That way if you guys want to go look at some of the products that she has for sale, you'll be able to do that. So the first thing you're going to need to do is pick your mold and figure out how many ounces your molds hold, and then divide that number by 2. And you're going to want 2 separate containers, and in one container you're going to measure out some white melt and pour soap base, and in the other container you're going to have some clear melt and pour soap base. Now, something I should mention is that one of the tips she gave me was to not let our heat on our melt and pour go above 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise we run the risk of it looking a little bit cloudy when it settles. So normally when I do my melt and pour, I don't really care how large the pieces are. You can see that's pretty good size compared to this. But I did cut our melt and pour for this project a lot smaller because it will melt a lot more evenly and we won't run the risk of getting it too hot in the microwave. So once you have your melt and pour soap bases measured and put in your jars, we are going to start off by just putting our white melt and pour in the microwave in 30-second bursts until it is completely melted. And then we will come back here and we're going to pour in a little bit of a scent oil. And the best rule of thumb for scent oil with melt and pour soap base is to not use more than 1/4 to 1/2 ounce per pound of melt and pour soap base. Something else that you should really keep an eye out for is whether or not your oil has any vanilla in it. There is something called a vanilla color stabilizer, and if you are using any oil with vanilla in it, it will change colors over time and can get kind of nasty looking. So putting the vanilla color stabilizer in 1 part to 1 part is a great way to avoid that. So once again, your oils, you just need 1/4 to 1/2 ounce per pound, and however much oil you're putting in, you put the same exact amount of color stabilizer in. Our white melt and pour base looks really good. It's nice and completely melted through. Now we're just going to add in our scent oil and our vanilla color stabilizer. I really like using these little cups because they're really good for measuring. They're just 1 ounce cups and they're meant for medicine, but like I said, they are perfect for what we are using them for. And you can find these on Amazon. They're like $3.50 for 100 of them. It's a really good deal. So we're just going to add that in and give it a good stir. Once everything is as incorporated as you would like it to be, you'll be ready to pour it into your mold. And you're just going to want to try and get it split evenly between the 4 compartments. And every time that you've filled one, you're going to want to spritz it immediately with a little bit of alcohol to get rid of those bubbles. The longer you wait, the more difficult it will be. Now we're just going to let these dry until they are completely solid, and then we will come back and we'll be able to put our little tattoos on them. And really quick, I'm going to show you guys up close what these tattoos are all about. I got them at the dollar store and they were an absolute steal. It took me a little bit to run into them, but once I did, I was ecstatic because they didn't just have one Paw Patrol, but they had 2, and one of them's like boy themed and the other one is girl themed. So that's the tattoos that come in the girl one. They have lots of different kinds of dogs. And then this is what comes in the package of boy tattoos. And then as a bonus item, I found this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pack, and these have a metallic effect, so they look really cool in person, and I think these will look amazing in a soap. All right, so our first layer has completely dried, and we are ready to add our tattoos to the mix. And I'm just going to select some tattoos that will fit into our compartments nicely. So I've selected some of our tattoos to use, and now I'm just going to make sure that they are cut down enough that they can fit into our molds well. If they have too much of an edge on them, we're going to have an issue fitting them in. So once we've taken the little front piece off of our sticky, we're going to put it down into our mold. And you're going to want to center that as well as you can. Just giving it a little press. Don't know that that's necessary, but seems helpful. And then I have a wet paper towel, and I'm just going to press this down on the back for about 30 to 60 seconds. And then I'm just removing our paper piece with a toothpick. And once it's up, you can just grab it and pull it off. Wow, that looks so good. That looks better than I expected. So I'm going to do the other 3, and then we'll move on to our next step. All of our tattoos look so good. I'm really impressed with how these are going so far. Our next step is going to be to let these dry completely. So I'm probably going to let this sit for at least a half an hour to an hour. And I may be overestimating the time there, but we really don't want any water on these when we add our next layer. So definitely we're going to give these a minute to sit on their own. Okay, we've officially let our little molds dry completely, and there is no more moisture on them. My teeny friend told me he didn't want to come back to do more soaps because he's busy eating a snack. We are ready for our next step. I love how these look. The pictures came out really clear and perfect, and I'm so excited to put the finishing touch on this. And of course, our finishing touch is going to be our clear melt and pour. We are going to heat this up in the microwave in 15-second bursts, but we want to be careful and make sure to check our temperature with a temperature gun every time that we go back in to stir it, because we don't want our temperature to exceed 135 degrees Fahrenheit, or else we will get the clouding in our soaps that we do not want. And I grabbed my little thermometer just to show you guys what it looks like if you've never seen one before. You can buy these on Amazon. You can also buy these on any soap supplier website. And these are super awesome. They have a little button. You just point and shoot, and it will tell you on the screen exactly the temperature of the thing you're shooting. I'm just going to put in our scent oil and our color stabilizer, and then just give it a nice stir. All right, we're ready to pour our clear into our mold. The final piece of advice that I was given for doing this type of soap is to pour your clear melt and pour base very slowly, because if you pour too quickly, you can mess up your little designs and they can move around. And I'm also going to start by pouring in a corner really slowly, and I'll just let it flow outward into the mold, because that'll also give us less chance of it becoming a little bit muddled on our picture. When you're working with melt and pour, to get your layers to stick together properly, before you put on your second layer, you need to spritz it lightly with a little bit of this alcohol, and that just helps our layers connect really well. Once it's full, we're going to spritz it once more with our alcohol to pop those bubbles. So far, these are looking really good. They're completely full and drying. I would say all of our little guys are doing pretty good at this point. This is our completed project. My tops weren't perfectly smooth because I accidentally bumped my table. Other than that, I would say these came out really perfect. And when I was done pulling them out of the mold, I just went in with a little peeler and did the sides. That way it was a little bit cleaner looking. This is our final product. I'm super happy with how these turned out. I would definitely suggest this as a fun first time project. Overall, these turned out incredible. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please hit that like button and subscribe so I can see you again. Bye.